And here we are. This is the Gentleman Scholar, looking like his codgerly self here from New Hampshire. I wore this specifically to reflect my New England / Quebecois / Canuck history. And I'm here to do a YABO, however you want to pronounce it, which stands for, of course, yet another box opening. I rarely get these, but this one came from DickeyLabs. And Ron is just a really great guy. He's an old codger, but he's not just an old codger sitting there with folksy country BS, which I love. Very dry humor. Just sitting on his back porch, firing up his pipe, and just shooting the breeze about whatever comes into his head, or if he's cooking something or baking something, or just talking to his cameraman Kevin, which, by the way, is some of the greatest bone dry country BS ball busting I've ever seen. Two videos. One of DickeyLabs talking about his his Thanksgiving adventure, and how no one opened the door, and then of course the sequel, where he's actually talking to Kevin, his cameraman. So I'll try to put those up, both linking. I'll put those in the bucket down below when I'm done this. Okay, so here we go. This could be anything, because Ron is, like I said, despite being a pipe-smoking codger, he's a Renaissance man, reads comics, watches a lot of esoteric / science fiction / fantasy stuff on TV. Not what you'd imagine when you see a video of his. So he's just a well-rounded individual. So first I will do the bookkeeping. Hello, housekeeping. This is the first pipe one of the first pipes I ever bought. I believe it's a poker. If I'm wrong, someone please correct me. And an old standby Norman Rockwell portrait. I don't know. I really don't know my palette just yet, but I do know that I like going back to Norman Rockwell portrait. I believe it's an aromatic, so I guess it's a favorite. So here we go. It's a good little smoker too, despite the fact that I broke the thing trying to put the stem back into the shank with my big gorilla hands. I'd like to comment that this tamper was made for me by a YouTube pipe guy named Olive Piper. He makes his own pipes, and I believe he still sells his own pipes. So he's a Brooklynite who's retired to Florida. So go and say hello. Maybe one of his pipes too, which is beautiful. Should smoke that one day. Should smoke that one day because it's a beautiful pipe. The other thing that Ron did for me is he warned me when I opened this package. I just did it, didn't I? Son of a bitch. Try to edit that out. Anyway, Ron tried to warn me of the thing I just did, not to display my address. I even turned it upside down and everything so I could show you. And sure enough, I showed you my address. Should have just taken it off before I opened it. Anyway, maybe I'll block that out at some point. Anyway. Dave, I think I'm getting a clenching thing. Right there. Between the two sets of back teeth. It's one of those things that's it seems like riding a bike. You don't think you can do it until you can do it. Let's see if I can cut myself. And go to the emergency room. Wouldn't that be fun? That's awesome. Okay, the video I'm going to link you to basically explain. Okay, first of all, I got chicken gravy here. The video I'll link you to will explain this. What he does is he explains his famous chicken gravy and raisin recipe. That is pretty much, you know what? That's pretty much appropriate for Ron. Our Ron. Didn't know what to expect, but I should have expected this. That is hilarious. Now, oh, there's more in here. Oh, okay. Shepherd's blend. He mentioned this in some of his videos. And a Brono to go with it, which back in the days before the YTPC, they used to call this a letter. Also in this box are your essentials for your Christmas morning breakfast. You don't have to thank me. But Ron, I'm going to thank you because that was great. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I was expecting something pipe related, and I sure got it. Here it is. And it feels moist too. So I'm going to have to dry that out before I smoke it. Thank you very much, sir. It's completely appropriate. I mean, yeah, the tobacco is great, but of course all the other stuff with it makes it even more perfect because it's very Ron. If you start watching his videos, you'll know what I mean. Anyway. Put these back in the box. stairs. So Bill could be like, what the hell is that all about? Yoga covered raisins even. St. David, this will be a day long remembered. The day I figured out how to clench. Speaking of St. David, his latest video his latest video had something to do. He works at Pittsburgh Airport as a rampy. Now, hopefully he doesn't mind that name, but a rampy is basically someone who handles the puts the luggage up in the plane. And before that, he used to work for, I believe it was US Air. Correct me if I'm wrong, David. But before he basically, he knows that airport pretty well, just put it that way. So he basically said, come Christmas time, it becomes a madhouse, which it does. And he said basically, here, my tobacco is burning in the ashtray there. He basically said, get to the airport at least 2 hours before your flight is going to leave. And if you have children, better make it 3. Because the airport, in a normal situation, is a very stressful experience. Yeah, it's gone. The airport, during the normal time of years, can be a stressful experience. It needs planning and it needs situational awareness. And if you forego either of those, you're not going to have a good time, because air travel, it's the business of packing people into a small space and getting them from point A to point B, and all the other human factors there tend to gum up the works, as it were. Like if you're getting on board the plane and you think you have all the time in the world and you're looking around for your seat and you have 40 people piled up behind you glaring at you, yeah, you have to kind of, I hate to say it, you kind of have to act like a hive mind when you're in the airport. So a couple days ago, I was at the airport to do a one-day Raleigh-Durham turn, and sure enough, I got there early. Ended up being 2 hours delayed, but I digress. But that stuff happens normally in the course of my job. So I'm just sitting there either reading or just meditating in the gate area. And so a packed flight to San Francisco boards up. I mean, it's packed. We've got like at least 6 or 7 wheelchairs. I don't know how many kids. And they're all just waiting at the gate until they board up, and the plane pulls back from the gate. And a couple people come running up about 5 minutes later, and of course they're fit to be tied because they just missed their flight. So the agent did the best she could to get them on the next one or whatever, and that was that. And then the same thing happened on the next one. I don't know where that one was going, but sure enough, 5-10 minutes after that one pulls away, a family comes running up all like, and they missed their flight because inexperienced travelers don't factor in the crowds and the traffic and everything else. And I'm not saying this is a criticism. It happened to me once upon a time, back in 1989. I was a bill collector for a firm here in Bedford, New Hampshire, and I took this job because I couldn't find a trap. I learned my what was it? I had an associate's in sciences degree, 2 years, and my major was travel and tourism. So, of course, I went around to all these travel agencies looking for a job. No one was hiring. Even did an internship, which I found out that I didn't like, which was good because that's what an internship is for. You find out if you're going to like this job. And I decided that I didn't. So I said, I'll become a flight attendant instead. Yeah, I'll work for an airport. Yeah. So I put the feelers out. Towards one airline, they didn't want me. Their standards are too high. Until then another guy, and I'll say from Northwest Airlines decided to show up at our school, and he let us use his name, and that got I guess that got me in for an interview. So I was working at this bill collecting agency at the time, and I told my supervisor, "It's like, look, I'm looking to get an airline job, the thing that I trained for, so I'm going on the state." "Okay, cool, that's refreshing. You told me the truth." So I left a little early, 4 o'clock, which means I caught the 5:30 bus down there, and the plane leaves at, I want to say 6:30. It's almost 30 years ago, so I forget. So get on that bus at 5 or 5:30, and 4:30, get there at 5. Oh, an hour and a half, no problem. It's only an hour down to Boston. So we shoot on down, and of course the traffic's bad. And of course, I remember getting a little concerned, and then all of a sudden, I believe the airline booked this for me, and they gave me the reservations for it. And by the time I finally got there, it was like minutes before doors closing. It's in the e-concourse, right near where the old FSM flight service offices were going to be. And I'm like running to get there, and the agent's like glaring at me because I'm like this close. And so yeah, that was my first time going to Minneapolis for a interview. I didn't know about air travel at the time. I didn't know exactly how much time you needed. So I have a bit of sympathy for the folks who basically missed their flight because they didn't allow for enough time. It happened to me. Let me put this away before I cut myself. So yeah, it's Christmas travel. Speaking of which, let's just, can I sheathe that blade? Will it let me? Doesn't look like it will. So let's just put it away so I don't hurt myself. This is my husband's workroom here. You can hear the 2 fans going off. He installed them for me, so I was able to smoke down here. Christmas, the Christmas cards are all out. If you're on my list, you got one, hopefully. The international ones landed about a week ago, and the international ones were sent out of Logan Airport about 3 days ago, and people have told me they're already getting them, so that's good. I guess the USPS is working overtime to get all the mail out in a timely manner. And now we're just kind of waiting for Christmas to arrive. Don't have a tree up. I do have my cards all up at a clothesline of twine whenever they come in. A trick I picked up from a friend, an Englishman who taught in Glasgow once upon a time, the Doc. He's no longer with us, but he was an Englishman who taught at Glasgow University. Went to visit him and his family once upon a time, and over the fireplace, you saw all the cards strung up on string. And I thought to myself, now that is a good idea. I'm going to steal that idea. So I did. So right now, I've got like string all over the living room. I don't know how many cards I'm going to get this year, but used to be quite a lot. I still send out quite a bit of mail throughout the year, not just Christmas, but I'll probably get a fair amount of Christmas cards, but it doesn't look like it's going to be the same amount this year, which is fine. I get it. People are busy, and but what disturbs me is that you hear more and more, also from St. David. Oop, I feel a sneeze coming. Please excuse me. 1, 2. David, a couple other people in the pipe community said that sending Christmas cards is becoming a dying art, which is kind of sad, really, because I don't know. I enjoy doing it. I've always written letters. I've written letters since college, the aforementioned college. It was how I stayed in touch back home long before the internet became a thing. And even it was like 60 miles to the south. For me, it felt like I was going to Saturn because it was the first time I'd ever really been away from home before. So, yeah, I would feverishly write letters back home in between reports and assignments and everything like that. So, yeah, I've been a letter writer ever since, and I don't even want to know how much I've spent on postage since like 1988, 1990. That reminds me of a story. The other week, I was watching Meet TV or Cozy TV, And all of a sudden, a very Brady Christmas shows up. And I'm like, at first I started watching it ironically, you know, the Brady Bunch, oh God, whatever. And the thing is, I remember the first year in college when this was first aired, and they had a watch party, and of course I was too busy getting used to the place and, like, you know, panicking because I'd never been away from home before. But a lot of people all over the place had a watch party for it because, and of course in college you do everything ironically. You know, you watch the Brady Bunch ironically, but we all know that they cared because most of these people were, you know, they grew up on the reruns of the Brady Bunch like I did. So they're all watching it. I never got to see it until this past week. And I'm sitting there watching it, and at first, you know, I'm writing a letter in the meantime, watching it, you know, ironically. Yeah, Brady Bunch, ha ha ha. And slowly I'm getting sucked into it as you see the writers pick up story strands of all the characters that we remember so well from the original show. And most of the kids are married. The Brady household has been upgraded to like 1988 fashions, and which now look just as goofily dated as the 70s stuff did when you first saw the Brady Bunch. But that was part of its charm, you know, seeing Carol Brady with the hairsprayed hairdo and the power foam padded shoulders and everything like that, and the bright colors. But the thing is, I remember someone in college saying to me once upon a time, I don't remember the Bradys being this much into God and family before. I didn't know what he meant until Mike Brady's speech shows up about family and being honest with one another, in which they all are. They're all airing all their insecurities and their problems at the dinner table. But then later, Mike goes to investigate a building, the foreman of which was trying to cut back on materials that had to do with safety. And of course, the building caved in because he's a man of integrity, and he wanted everything to go right according to safety specs, but corners on safety specs if they can save money. We all know that now. So anyway, the building collapses on some co-workers. Mike goes in and gets them out. And then the family recalling the time that Carol lost her voice, and she got her voice back just in time to sing at the Christmas festival at church. Come all ye. The whole family decides to sing "Come All Ye Faithful" at the building site, and miraculously, the patriarch Mike Brady is somehow released from the wreckage that was pinning him down. And it was I would say it's cringeworthy, but it was very Brady too. But I don't remember the Brady Bunch being that, you know, that Sunday school. But anyway, going on 23 minutes. I've talked to you enough. Thank you very much, Ron, for sitting this long. I'm going to try and figure out how to get my address out of there. But take care of yourself, and we'll speak to you soon. À la prochaine. No. Cut. Oh, there we go. The X at the corner right up there. That does it.